In this video, we're going to talk about interviews. So how do you go on these interviews, actually do what you need to do so that you can land these 10K a month roles? So no one in this space is talking about what you need to do on interviews and how to approach them. So here we go. I'm not going to go over questions that you need to ask on the interviews because I have multiple videos about that. This video is going to be more about what you should do and what you shouldn't be doing on interviews. So let's get into it. First, if you've been interviewing for jobs, you've been going on calls, but no one is calling you back with an offer, and you're like, what the hell is going on? I have these great interviews and they go well, but no one's hiring me. This could be for a couple of reasons. First, if you've only had a couple of interviews, a lot of times they just go with other people. That's normal. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. That's going to happen. That's got nothing to do with you. But there are a lot of cases where I send people on interviews and it just doesn't seem like they want the role bad enough. So I know that sounds vague, so let me explain. When a business owner is interviewing people, especially salespeople, he's more likely to hire the person that's qualified or not qualified, but they are committed over the person who has a lot of experience, but they don't really seem like they want the job. So what does all this mean? If you are committed, you're willing to work really hard. You're willing to work longer hours, take more calls, learn things that you have never done before, get out of your comfort zone, blah, blah, blah. Business owners want that person over a qualified person that might come at the interview like, well, I'm interviewing for other roles as well. I'm just testing the waters, and I can also only work these specific hours. Like, saying stuff like this is an absolutely stupid thing to do, first of all. But many experienced people do this. They come on to interviews with their own set of needs and demands before they've even finished the interview or been offered the job. Now, after the role has been offered to you, that's a more appropriate time to go over things like that. Like, hey, can we talk about the hours, or can we talk about this? Someone is much more likely to speak with you about that stuff at that point. But on an interview, you need to be showing them that you are all in and committed, that you're willing to do whatever it takes. And that doesn't mean that you should be desperate or needy. It just means to demonstrate to them that you are all in and committed. You're going to do whatever it takes to succeed in this position. So whether that's, learning a bunch of new things you've never learned before, doing extra work, everything I mentioned before. And having to explain this seems crazy to me because this should be a given. But I see lots of people, like I said, they go into interviews with like one foot in the door. Like, well, I don't really know. Let's just see how this goes. I don't want to seem too eager. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? People are fucking weird, man. Just be all in. Just let them know you are willing to do whatever it takes and that you will work hard. And this first point may sound like not that groundbreaking, but no one does it. People go on calls and they do the stupid shit I just mentioned, and they seem like they don't even want the role. People are fucking weird today, bro. And I know because I work with tons of people trying to get into this. So don't be weird. Like, go on a roll and act like you actually want it. What are you putting time into this if you don't want to do this? It's strange. And this will make a huge difference, especially these days, because you have no idea the types of other people that these business owners are talking to and the weird things they're having to deal with when hiring people. Next thing to do on interviews that nobody does. You need to show them that you've actually looked into their business, what they do, what they sell, and also what their culture is like. So I'm going to explain all this. Again, it's shocking to me how many people go on interviews without having done any research into the company or business. When have you had an interview scheduled and you actually went and spent like half an hour looking up this company and just looking at that? Not scrolling TikTok at the same time, not multitasking, seriously like prepared and looked at the company. Okay? You want to know what the company is, what the product is, right? And what most people do, especially ones that I have experienced working with, is they think things like, well, I don't need to prepare. I'll just find out everything I need to know on the interview. And these people will just get a call back or an email and asking them to go schedule an interview, and then they just go into it blind, basically. I've had lots of business owners tell me that they'll post a job and then they'll select a few people who select a few applicants to schedule an interview, whatever. And then this is common. When these people get on the interview, they don't even know what the company is or who they're interviewing with. They're like, what a job is this for again? This happens all the time. What? You can't like be any lazier or less prepared than that or stupider than that. Like this is your competition that's doing this. This is obviously wrong, so don't do that. When you get an interview, go and prepare for the interview. Look at the company, look at their website, definitely look at their social media, explore it, do some research, just put some time into it. So, what do they sell, obviously? And more importantly, what types of people are their clients and customers? And then I would just find a couple of things that you like about the company or business, or just some talking points that you can talk about and at least mention on the interview so that it shows them, oh, this guy did some research, he did some homework, this guy actually cares. You know, if you can find something about the company or business or their market that you can mention on the call, be like, oh, I looked into this and this is what I thought about this, or it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't have to be some like groundbreaking magical thing, just something that shows them I made a connection here. They're going to see that you prepared when most people go on interviews and they're just like, you know what I'm saying? So this goes back to the first point. People that really want a job and they're committed, they're not lazy and stupid with the way that they approach the search and interview process. If you really want it, you're really committed to it, you will do this type of stuff. And again, these first 2 points like may not seem like groundbreaking stuff, but no one is doing them. When no one is doing the basics or the fundamentals, that gives you a huge advantage because they're not hard to do. And that makes you stand out because no one is doing them. Literally, like, I feel like I'm on the Truman Show these days. Like I'm dead fucking serious. When I go out in public, when I work with people in business, when I get on calls with people in my closing offers, I feel like I'm the only person that has a brain. Everyone's fucking stupid. Their whole life revolves around when can I get back to the next screen and just get dopamine. And they can't even put in the bare minimum amount of work to do anything. It's fucking wild. You don't have any competition. If you literally, like, instead of just watching this video and be like, oh yeah, that's, like, these points aren't stimulating your brain enough. That's why you don't think they're, like, groundbreaking. Like, oh, I need better information. Let me just click on 9 million more fucking YouTube videos so my brain rots out my asshole. You know what I'm saying? If you actually did these things, though, then you would get amazing results, but no one does anything. They're just sucking in information, but they're not implementing it. So implement them. So back to my point. Most people go on these interviews and they just answer the questions and they don't have any questions of their own and they don't make any effort to show them, hey, this is why you should hire me. This is what I did before the interview to show you, hey, I'm interested, I'm committed, this type of stuff. So just putting in some effort beforehand and showing them that you take it seriously goes a long way. And even just showing them that you actually, like, doing the research makes you stand out crazy. And it shows them, oh, wow, this is a serious person. I haven't talked to one of these in years. So it's just really not hard for you to stand out these days because everyone is doing things the easiest way possible. Now, I left the best part for the end. This is another way that you can stand out on interviews, and it's the way that you present your past experience. So if you have no sales experience whatsoever, you should definitely be doing this, but everyone should be doing it in general. So what you want to do before you go on an interview is just look at the work experience that you do have. And was any of it at all? Did it involve selling to some degree? Anything. So I'm talking like if you were a cashier at a 7-Eleven, a gas station, whatever, instead of saying to them, oh, well, I used to be a cashier at Target or at the grocery store, right? You don't want to say that. You want to say, well, at my job, I spoke to hundreds of new people a day. And before they checked out, I would upsell them on other products and get them to buy more things. That is sales. And that's literally basically what you're doing as a cashier. You're talking to hundreds of new people a day, you're checking them out, and there's other things that you could sell them right there, right? There's no like cashier station, whether it's a gas station, a grocery store, Target, whatever, that doesn't have other products right there at the register. You can be like, hey, have you checked this out? Like literally that's sales. You could just say that's what you were doing when you were a cashier. And that is sales. Like, you see what I'm saying? And that shows initiative. And no one in the history of sales interviews has ever framed their target cashier job like that. So if you did that in this hypothetical example on an interview, they'd be like, oh damn. So this dude was a cashier. He took his job fucking seriously, which I don't think any cashier in the history of the fucking Milky Way has ever done. And he was trying to sell people on these products. When you take a low-level job seriously, a business owner, he's the type of person that's going to notice that. The normies are going to be like, why are you trying so hard, bro? You stupid or something, right? But the business owner is going to be like, oh, I want to hire someone like that. As opposed to 99% of the stupid people who we talked about earlier are going to go on interviews and they're going to be like, I worked at Target. Right? See what I'm saying? So do you see the difference? You see how you can take the experience that you have and just present it to the interviewer in a good way where it sounds much better. I don't know why people don't do this. It takes like 10 seconds to think about, and that's all you have to do. Just look at what have I done for work in the past and how would this be appealing to this business that I'm interviewing for. That is the mindset that I would come from. And I'm not saying to lie or make up work experience. I was very clear about what I said, but you have work experience. You have worked with people before, probably. Just use your brain and think, how can I present this to them in a way that is beneficial to what they are looking for? And this type of thinking is just so rare, it's insane. You would think people would take making money seriously, they would take their life seriously, but they don't. There's no one out there who's doing any of this stuff, and the ones who are typically only the people in my program, and they're the ones getting the good jobs and making the good money. So that's the end of the video. If you want my help getting a closer role or a setter role, there's links in the description. Until next time.